So review 2.5 to 2.7. Are you all there? Got it? It gives you that table of information, right? That shows the relationship between temperature and Fahrenheit and the ice cream sales for the canteen. We're going to graph that. We're going to sketch the graph. We're going to find the line of best fit, all the steps that we've always been doing, right? So I'm going to just show you on my calculator. You should be writing here on your review. I'm going to write it out on the board. So if anyone's watching this video, sorry, you're going to have to fill in on your own. But I'll write it up here so that you have the information that you need to have. So what is the first thing you should do on your calculator right now? Clear the y. Oh, you make me happy when you tell me things like that. So if you click y equals and then hit clear, okay, now you should have nothing in that equation. If you have something there, it's going to mess everything up. So make sure you clear it out every time, okay? What should you do next? Stat, yes. And then edit. So just enter. Now to clear your list, you go up to L2, hit clear, and then enter. Over to L1, up, hit clear, and enter. Okay, so you should have empty lists. Remember, we never delete. We only clear, okay? We don't want to get rid of our list.
What happens if you do delete?
There's a way. Did you do it?
No.
Oh, there's a way. I'd have to look it up because I haven't done that in a long time. It's in your notes. It's in the 2.5 notes. It says, if you delete your L1, but I forget what the step is because people don't do it very often. Okay, so if you look at your temperatures there, start entering those. You have 85, enter 71, enter 84, enter 66, enter 77, enter 75, enter 68, enter, and 91. Enter, okay? Then arrow over to L2. I will read them if you want them, otherwise ignore me. 200, enter 160, enter 190, enter 100, enter 185, enter 180, enter 115, enter, and 230, enter, okay? If your lists are not the same length, you missed something or entered something. Make sure they're the same length. I can't stress enough to you how important it is to put your numbers in correctly, because if it's 91 and you accidentally type in 19 because you were rushing, everything's wrong from here on out, okay? So take your time when you're putting your lists in, because I don't want to have to mark you off on everything because you made one silly mispunch, okay? Take your time. Okay, what shall we do next?
Our best.
Yeah, good. How should we do our best? If you want to plot this right now, you can. I don't usually. You're welcome to. Zoom 9 will give you the plots if you want to see the plots. I would jump right into calculating the linear regression. So I would go stat, and then where? Calc. Arrow over to calculate, then what? 4. Linear regression. Okay. And then enter, enter, enter. How do I store the regression equation? Alpha, trace, enter. Alpha, trace, enter. Okay, and then enter, enter again. We'll calculate it for you. Okay, so here is your equation. Does it say word around? 2 decimal places. Okay, so on your notes right now, we've not done anything. We're at letter C. Okay, so at letter C, you're going to say, C, y equals 4.58, that's your A value, times x, plus or minus?
Plus.
Minus, because it's a negative for my B, 183.51. Okay, so when it asks you for the equation in letter C, this is it. That's your equation.
I just wrote plus and negative.
That's fine. It's, yeah, same thing. Okay, and then while you're on this screen, it's beneficial. If you look, it says in letter D, how accurate is your line of best fit? How do we determine how accurate it is? R. Your R right now is 0.95. 0.3, we'll say. How accurate is that?
More accurate.
Very accurate, right? If it's close, if you're getting an A on a test, that's a great grade. That's how you can remember. 93%, that's good. So 0.93 is a very accurate correlation. Still very accurate as long as it's close to a -1, right? We want to be close to 1 or close to -1. Okay? Noah.
What would you like it says
You could just say it's very close to the number 1. We want to be close to 1. Okay, so that's C and D. Now we can go back and graph it. How do we graph this? Zoom 9. You guys are pros. So Zoom 9 looks like this, okay? And then on your graph, you're going to have that graph window. I always say we started about here, we ended about here, so draw that line in. I missed. And then plot every point you see. So 2 down here, 1 up here, 2 here, 2 here, and 1 here. Okay. Now sometimes we'll ask you to just put the X-min, X-max like on the graph like I've been showing you. But here we just have you list them in a column form. Yeah.
I just hit the line of best fit to show up. I hit zoom 9 and do I have to hit something
Did you
else?
store your regression equation? You need to store the regression equation. So you're gonna, if your line isn't showing up, do this with me right now. You're gonna go stacked, arrow over to calculate, sorry. Then hit 4, enter, 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 alpha, trace, enter, enter, enter. Okay, so if you click on y equals right now, you should be seeing this. Do you have that, Jada?
Yeah.
Did you get the line now? Hit zoom 9.
No, it's still not showing up. Not even my browsers.
Did you have, maybe you turned your plots off? Yeah, your plots are on. This box always has to be highlighted. Zoom 9.
Thank you.
Are you good, Jim?
Yeah.
Got it? Okay, everybody else good? Okay, then, where were we at? Letter A, is it positive, negative, or no correlation? What do you have? Positive. If it's a positive slope, it's a positive correlation, right? If it's on its way up, left to right, it's positive. So that's a positive correlation for A. Letter B asks you for your X-min, X-max, Y-min, and Y-max. Okay, I'm going to put them here, but you can just put them X-min, X-max. I'm just not going to list it like that. So how do you find those? Window, yeah. So if you click window right now, it's going to tell you what window you're working in. So your X-min is 63.5, your X-max is 93.5, your Y-min is 77.9, and your Y-max is 252.1. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm kind of still confused on A and how you determine if it was positive and negative correlation.
Because of the slope, right? The slope of our line is positive. It's moving up. So that's a positive
So
correlation.
if it was going there.
If it was like this, it would be negative. And if your graph looks like this, where there's just points everywhere, that's no correlation.
Oh,
Okay, so letter E, it says a heat wave's coming. Use your equation to estimate the amount of sales when the temperature soars to 96 degrees. Where are you plugging in that 96? Is that your Y value or your X value? The temperature was your X's, right, in the chart. So you're going to plug in for letter E, Y equals 4.58, what was it, 98? 96. Minus 183.51. So just plug that into your calculator and you should get what number?
256.
Okay, and what is that? Money, right? So write it as money. So 256 and was it 17?
0.17.
Yeah, so $256.17 in sales. Okay. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Then let me jump back to my iPad. And literally, guys, that's a question on your test. Those exact steps, solve it. You should be good to go. Okay. We up there? We're up there. Graphing. How do you graph that first one? X plus 3 in parentheses and squared. What shape is your graph?
Parabola.
It's a parabola. This is a U-shaped curve. When it has that squared, right? That's U-shaped. Where are you moving when you graph it? What translation? That plus 3.
To the left.
Left 3. So from your parent function, right? Parent function starts at 0, 0. So 1, 2, 3 to the left. And then up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. But this is the curve. This is the U shape. Like that. Okay. Where are you moving for this second one? Up, down, left, or right?
Up 3.
Up 3. When it's outside of the parentheses, right? There's no parentheses here. When it's away from that squared, it's up or down. So up 3 is going to put us here. And it's that U-shaped curve. Don't make it a V. Make it a U. Okay, so how about that third one? Now we're doing a couple of things. Where is this going to move us? X minus 2. To the right. Okay, and then minus 4. Where does that go? That goes down. When it's outside of the parentheses, it's up and down. When it's inside the parentheses, it's left and right. So right 2, 1, 2, down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to put us here. Up 1 over 1 gives you your curve, just like that. Any questions on that? Okay. Reflections. So they are asking us on these next two to take a function and reflect it over the y-axis and then reflect it over the x-axis. What do you do if you're just reflecting over the y-axis? Only the x changes, right? So we're taking this function. You could call this, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you this way. So it's going to be f of change our x, right? Which is really when we make it a new function, g of x. So this is going to be, if we're just changing our x, negative 5x plus 4. Okay, don't change the y-intercept, only change the slope on that. Yes?
Did you update the review in the last 2 days?
Yes. Did you open an old one?
Yeah.
Sorry. The other one didn't have reflections in it, so I changed it. You're on the ball. Should have warned you, but I thought I was safe because no one works ahead, right? You're just so responsible. All right, the second one, reflected over the x-axis. So now we're changing the entire function, right? Which means it's going to be what? Negative 5x minus 4. So my new function, g of x, would be negative 5x minus 4. Okay. Questions on that? Okay, so then we're just going to graph it. So using those same functions, we're going to graph our initial one. I'll do that in blue. Okay, so f of x we're going to do is 5x plus 4. So plus 4 means up 4. Now here's the deal, guys. A slope of 5 is going to run off of our page. But think about if I go up 5 over 1 to the right, that's the same as going down 5 to the left one, right? So this will be our first line. And then the reflection, same y-intercept, but now a slope of -5. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't go far enough. Shoot. Sorry. Scratch that. I didn't move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. My bad. That is our line. Okay. So then the second one, a -5 over 1 is going to put us here. And that gives me this line. Okay. Now graph that blue equation again on your second one because we had the same starting point. So up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, you could go up 5 over 1, but you're going to fall off the graph. So just reverse that. Down 5 to the left one would be the same thing. Okay. But now we have a -4 for our intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a -5 slope. Now again, if we go down 5 to the right 1, that's fine. It's the same as going up 5 to the right 1. And that will give us this line. To the left one, sorry. Questions on either of those graphs?
So you're
Jada.
graphing both fx and gx?
Yes, yep, on both of them. So the blue is our f of x, and the pink is our g of x. Blue is f of x, pink is g of x. Because then you can see the reflection, right? You can see like where we would flip. Yeah.
So y-axis, everything stays the same for f of x?
No, if you flip over the y-axis, your x value changes, so your slope ends up changing, right? This was a +5, now it's a -5. But your y-intercept stays the same.
Okay, and then
X-axis, remember we said x-axis, think of it like a big X. We want to change everything, cross everything out and change it. Ow, ow,
Oh, you okay? Nice.
broke my nail. That sucks. Anyway, they were looking so good, you guys. I have terrible nails. I finally had them good. Now I snapped it off. Anyway, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So for the letter B, like I was kind of confused on like the graph. 'Cause
How I graphed it?
if you plot -4, you'll go down -4, but then how would you get -4?
Yeah, so what I did was because you have a -5 slope and you're already here, rather than go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, which you can, but then you fall off the graph, just keep that slope going in the other direction. So you would go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left one is the same as down 5 to the right one. So I just went the other way. Okay. Okay, we're almost done. Here we go. Given y equals -2 times the absolute value of x minus 1 plus 3, find your vertex. What would your vertex be here? Be careful.
+1 and +3.
Good job. +1, +3. Okay, opposite of what it looks like here, the same as what it looks like here. So 1, 3 is your vertex. Go ahead and plot that. 1, 1, 2, 3. What shape is this graph?
V.
It's a V. Yes. Absolute value is always a V. Where is your axis of symmetry?
It's on.
X.
Not 1. X equals 1, right? Make sure you write it as an equation. X equals 1. I do mark off for that.
Is it always
Don't
gonna
say
be
1.
X?
It's always X.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, and make sure you draw that in with a dotted line. That's your axis of symmetry. And then it says graph it by hand using at least 3 points. So you have your vertex. I want one more point on the right and one more point on the left. Where do I move?
Down to over.
Yes, you have a -2 for your A. That's going to be down 2 to the right one, down 2 to the left one, and then draw that in. Okay, questions on that? Okay, last thing. Given the parent function y equals f of x, write an equation for a shift of 3 units left, 5 units down. So y equals f of what? X, 3 to the left would be positive, right? X plus 3 is inside. Then what? Minus 5. Okay. That's for the more linear setup. If it was absolute value, right, you would say y equals, or sorry, f of x. Let's stick with f of x. F of x equals the absolute value of x plus 3 minus 5, right? If it was a quadratic, a parabola, in other words, you would have f of x equals x plus 3 squared minus 5, okay? So just pay attention to what kind you're working with. That way you know what you're doing when you graph it. This would be a V, this would be a U, this would be a line of sorts. Questions?